days. Some of us are parents, some of us work in schools and are working in schools. Some of us worked remotely throughout the pandemic. Some of us were able to leave the city when it got really hard. And some of us were what the city called essential workers. We worked in person throughout the pandemic. I am one of those workers. And some of us have lost our jobs through the mandates and are still unable to have work. A year ago, many of us would have had very different opinions on the right way forward. And as the emergency has ended, our opinions have evolved until finally we're all here together today to say that what's being done to our kids makes no sense and it's very wrong. So many of the sacrifices that our kids have made, experiencing life virtually instead of in person, falling behind in their education, missing out on sports, graduations, celebrations, and so many of these sacrifices were excused for being for the greater good. And they were based on CDC guidelines. And they were crushing guidelines that really put the interest of kids last. So this summer, when the CDC on August 11th finally updated its guidelines to acknowledge that we're past the emergency and that it no longer recommends differentiating between the vaccinated and the unvaccinated, that indeed equity and consequences of restrictions should be considered in schools, many of us rejoiced. And our relief was short-lived, because on August 16th, only a few days later, in defiance of the updated CDC guidelines, the DOE announced its own policies for the upcoming school year. In New York City, unlike anywhere else on Earth, practically anywhere else on Earth, unvaccinated children are barred from playing sports, from after-school programs, from participating in paid internships, and unvaccinated parents are barred from even entering the child's school building. Almost 3 years into this pandemic, public health policy seems based on politics rather than evidence, and our children have suffered enough. It really needs to end. Today we're all here to call the mayor and the DOE to end all mandates immediately. It's time to restore normal and to begin the long process of undoing all the damage done by pandemic restrictions.